and welcome to the first episode of the Transatlantic Housewives. The four of us have got together, and when I say the four of us, that would be Tina's Talk Time, Bean Penny B, and Silver Moonlight, and myself, UK Girl. We've all got together and we thought it was a great idea just to do something fun, nothing too serious. So we're going to start off today with an autumn cocktail, and then we're going to do a fun little question answer segment afterwards. Now each month we are going to choose a completely different topic or a different theme. Hopefully this will grow into something really fun that you guys will enjoy. If you don't, please let us know, okay? Let us know in the comments. Right, so I have trawled Pinterest for cocktails. There was a toss-up between two. There was like a Bailey's inspired one, and then there was this one that I've chosen. This cocktail I've never tried before. I don't even remember the name of it, to be honest, but I'm gonna put a picture of it up here. I chose it for two reasons. One being, it actually sounded really delicious. Two, it looks really nice. Now, it could go for an autumn cocktail, or I think it could go for a Halloween cocktail. I think those colors are perfect. So, as you can see, it calls for the cocktail to be in a tall glass, and this is the only tall glass that I have that even remotely looks like that. However, it's clear at the bottom and it's silver at the top, so I don't think the purple portion is gonna show through. So I'm gonna change it up and put it in this glass. I think it's gonna be fine. I think, you know, we'll see, won't we? Now it calls for vodka, and my husband has two vodkas in his little liquor cabinet. So he had Sky and Tito's. I've gone for the Tito's. I don't know if there's really any difference between them. To me, vodka is vodka. I don't know. I'm not really a vodka drinker. I'm not really a cocktail drinker, but we're gonna go with the Tito's. It also calls for ginger beer, and luckily enough, I had one left in our fridge in the garage. It also calls for 2 tablespoons of sugar. Now, I've got some simple syrup that I'm gonna use because I just think the sugar might taste a bit bitty. And then blackberries. So I'm gonna get my little stash together, and then we're gonna make this cocktail. Okay, I'm going off of memory because the recipe is actually on my phone, which is what I'm recording with. Right, I've got some crushed ice. I keep getting interrupted. The husband keeps opening up the door, and every time he opens up the door, the alarm says, "The garage door is now open." Anyway, he's gone out for a couple of hours. Ice, crushed ice. Then it called for ginger beer. So, let's see if I can work out this bottle opener. I don't even know how this ended up in our house because it's not something I buy. I wonder if this was a twist off. Put some of that in. So I got a pallet of blackberries from Smith's this afternoon. They were $2.99. I actually thought that was quite reasonable. I'm gonna get some of these, and I bought my husband a little bit of a bar set a couple of years ago, but one of the items I forgot to get was a muddler. So I don't have one of those, so I'm just going to use the back of a spoon. Well, not the back of the spoon, the end of the spoon. I think I'm just going to squash these, and then I think I put the vodka in. This is pretty smushed up, and shots in America are a lot larger than shot sizes in England. We'll just do a little bit of, we're not going to go all the way to the top. Oh, I think maybe that was too much. So anyway, that's gonna go in with the blackberries. And then it called for two teaspoons of sugar. I'm gonna use this simple syrup, like 1 squeeze, 2 squeezes. I don't know. Oh, and actually you could have put some mint in here as well, but I'm not gonna mix mint and blackberries and vodka. My hands are all sticky, I'm gonna wash them real quick. Should have got myself better organized, shouldn't I? Right, I'm gonna give that a bit of a stir. Oh my goodness. You know what? I'm going to put a couple more blackberries in there because that was strong. That was strong. I think it's supposed to stay set. Maybe I should have poured it over the back of a spoon. I don't know, because it's supposed to be separated. Didn't work. Oh, what did I do wrong? Maybe it separates over time, do you think? Because you can clearly see in this picture It's definitely two separations. Oh well, we'll just go with it. And then there was supposed to be a couple of blackberries for garnish. You could see how this would be a really good Halloween drink, right? I mean, it does look kind of spooky. What's the difference between ginger ale and ginger beer? I don't know. Okay, shall we give it a taste test? It hasn't separated, has it? Oh, I'm disappointed. Oh well. In for a penny, in for a pound. Cheers, everyone. Oh, this is good. That's refreshing. That's good. I can't taste the vodka. I thought I put a lot of vodka in there. I can't even taste it, which could be lethal actually. That's delicious. I recommend this. Woo, yes. I'm gonna leave the recipe in the description box. Let's jump on over to the sofa and do the question and answers. Okay, I've got my little pumpkin bowl here and I've got my 10 questions inside. I know what the questions are because some of them I had to think right back into history and remember some memories. So, I just don't know what order I'm pulling them out. So the first one is, what is the one thing you wished existed but doesn't at the moment? And that's an easy one for me. That's the question. I don't know if that's going to be backwards on the screen, but I'm going to show it anyway. So the one invention that I wish existed right now, if you've watched the movie Back to the Future, was it the first one? Wait, the first one he went back to the 1950s. The second one, when is it Marty? Is that his name? The doctor. He turns up on the driveway in like a hover car. That's what I want. I want all cars off the road. And I want everyone to have a hover car so they can stay outside on the driveway and you just get in it, press the button, and then they raise up off the ground and they have like a thick bumper around them. So if you get into an accident, it's just like a bumper car, you just bounce off and then maybe twirl around in the sky a couple of times, but then come back down. I think that would be brilliant. No more accidents. I don't know how heavy goods vehicles would get around. I'm sure they'd work that out. But yeah, that is the one invention I wish. No more cars on roads, hover cars. Right, that was easy, wasn't it? Right, second one. Which famous person would you like to be friends with? Okay, so I thought about this one. My first initial thought was Princess Diana. And then I thought, no, you know what? I'd only be asking her a bunch of questions about the royal family. Just leave them alone. Let them have their bit. And then I thought about, and I don't know how to pronounce his name, Bear Grylls? Not sure. I think I would like to be his friend because I just think it would be brilliant to go on a few adventures and him teach survival skills. I think it would be absolutely brilliant. Now, I did start the Duke of Edinburgh Awards scheme at school. Then our school shut down and we all had to be moved to another school, and that new school didn't do it. So I actually did start survival skills, and we went camping and we learned how to use a compass, and we went out orienteering and rock climbing, rappelling, and caving as well. I think he would be absolutely brilliant to be friends with. And I met him once. Well, we didn't really meet him. We were in a hotel at Lake Las Vegas for the weekend. It was kind of like a staycation. And he came down to breakfast and he was sitting right opposite us, and he was there with his film crew, and they were here to film an episode of Surviving Out in the Desert. So I snuck a little picture, not for me, for my my boss at the time. She used to be in love with him, so I snuck a little picture. It's very grainy. If I can find it, I'll put it up on the screen. But yeah, I would choose Bear Grylls to be my friend. Yeah. All right. Number 3. Who is your secret crush? My teenage secret crush was Barry Manilow. I don't know why. And I had to have been 12 12 or 13 at the time, and I used to make my best friend walk the long way home after school, and it involved having to walk up a hill like this, and then when you got to the top of the hill, you had a choice. You could either walk through the cemetery that was on a hill like this, or you could walk up the steps. So it was a bit of a nightmare trek, but it meant we got to go past a music store, and in the window of the music store was a massive poster of Barry Manilow. So yeah, that's funny that I should end up in the same city as him. But my now crush, you might have guessed it from the thumbnail. Is it Mr Carrington or is it Matt Goss? It's Matt Goss. I think I met Matt as a teenager at the Brunel Rooms in Swindon one summer holiday. Then I bumped into him at Heathrow Airport one time, and now I end up living in the same city as him. He actually just moved back to England though. He's in Strictly, what's it called? Strictly Come Dancing? I think, or Strictly, and I've met him. I got a bit of a funny story. So we went to his show in Vegas at the Mirage with a bunch of friends, or a bunch of girlfriends, probably about 8 of us. And after the show, I had to rush back home because I need to go to bed because I had to be up at 4:30 the next morning to go to work. And I still had to drop a friend off as well on the way home. So after the show, the girls were like, oh, we're gonna go to the bars and see if we can find Matt and get him to buy us a drink. I was like, oh, good luck, good luck. And me and my friend got in my car, and as we drove out, we got to the red light, and I kind of looked over and did a double take, and I was like, what? I think that's Matt next to us. And the next thing I knew, I was pressing the down button on my window, and I was like, Maree, what are you doing? What are you doing? Don't do it. And I look over and I went, Matt, that was a bloody good show. And the next thing, his window starts going down. We ended up having a really nice conversation, and then the lights turned green and we both went our separate ways. But yeah, oh, and then I got another funny story. So anyway, in that conversation, Matt said, oh, are you a local? I was like, yeah. He said, well, come back again. So a little while later, I took my husband then to the show, and part of the show, Matt gets off of the stage and he walks around and he shakes everyone's hand. So he comes around, he shook my hand, you know, hi Matt. And then he goes to my husband and he looks at my husband and he goes, got a bit of white in your beard, mate. And we all like laugh, you know, nothing, didn't think nothing of it. Anyway, the next day I'm sitting right here on this chair and I was watching TV, which my TV's there and my kitchen's right there. And I look over and I thought, what's my husband doing? And I just done the dishes, so I knew he wasn't doing the dishes. So I said, what are you doing? He says, nothing. Oh, well, he's doing something. I said, what are you doing? He said, mind your own business. Shouldn't have said that to me. So I get up, I walk over there, and he kind of had his like shoulder, didn't have his back to me, but it's kind of his shoulder turned. He turned around, I went, oh, is that because of Matt? I said, no, it's not because of bloody Matt. He was dyeing his beard. But don't tell him I told you. But yeah, he was dyeing his beard. So I don't let him live that wind down anymore. So anyway, Matt's my crush, along with probably half of the British women. And good luck to him on Strictly Come Dancing. But I also kind of am wishing Diane good luck too, because I followed Diane. She's the Australian one with the red hair. She has been on YouTube for almost 2 years now, I think. So yeah, if you don't know her, go look up her channel, Diane Buswell. So yeah, anyway, let's move on to the next question. Right, oh, I've got 2 here. Let's have a look. Have you ever made a prank call? Well, funny you should ask. Have you ever made a prank call? When I was about 13, 14, I think we were 13. We used to go around to my friend's house at lunchtime because back then, I don't know if schools allow it now, but back then in England, when it was the school lunch hour, you could leave the school premises and you could go to the chip shop if you want, or Kentucky Fried. But we used to go to our friend's house and chill out in our house for half an hour. And she was terribly posh. She had 2 bedrooms. Well, she had a bedroom and she had a living room. And in her living room, she had a phone. But because our friend kept running up the phone bill. Her mum put a lock on the phone, and we're talking about one of the phones where you dial, you know. Well, we had worked out that if you know the little receiver that used to lift up, the two little things, if you tapped on them, you could tap out a telephone number. So my friend, oh my gosh, she was so bad. Her family and the family behind them used to row apparently back and forth. So my friend, I won't name her, she used to call for taxis and send them to their house. And we'd look outside and we're like, oh, the taxi's arrived. Oh my God, the taxi's just sitting outside. And yeah, it was a thing that she used to do. I mean, we were her accomplice for sure. I'm not totally guilt-free on this, but yeah, that's what we used to do for entertainment when we were 13 on our school lunch hour. So sorry to all the taxi cabs of Swindon, if you ever went to that house. I don't even remember the street. It was off Eastcott Hill. That's right. Yeah, it's just around the corner from Eastcott Hill. Anyway, let's move on. Let me have a drink. Right, next question. Your dream YouTube collaboration. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, wow. My dream YouTube collaboration. The first one that immediately comes to mind is Mr Carrington. Why? Because he does such a good vlog. He's so charismatic, so, what's the word? He's like calming, very calming to watch, very chill, he just comes across as so good natured. And I love his videos. I love that he does thrifts. That's all about my channel too. Love a good thrift. And he does little makeovers. And he's really humble. Like, he's on the TV. He doesn't need YouTube. What's he need YouTube for? He's even been to America and done, I think it was HGTV earlier this year. I was in Phoenix when that episode came on, and I watched it. It was really good. And yeah, he's just so humble, so friendly. So definitely, I would love to do a collaboration. So Mr. Carrington, if you're ever in Las Vegas, let me take you to some Goodwill stores. It would be fun. Anywho, and I know that the other girls, the rest of the Transatlantic Housewives, is theirs too. So next one. I don't think I've got too many left. Right. What was your childhood nickname? My real name is Maree, but my childhood nickname was Iris. And the story is, my brother told me this story. So apparently I was in a pushchair. So my youngest brother is 10 years older than me, so he was 11. So my mum pushed me to the newsagents with my brother Kevin, and she left me and Kevin outside the newsagents. Back then you could, no one would have stolen us back then. So she popped in the newsagents to get whatever, I don't know. And this little old lady came up to me and said, "Oh, you're very pretty, what's your name?" And I couldn't say Maree. So I said, "Oh, Iree." And she thought I said Iris. And my brother has called me that ever since. And even when he was at college and his mates used to come around to our house, they all thought my name was Iris. He's never called me Maree. And about 10, 15 years ago, I was on Facebook and I just came across one of my brother's friends. And I was like, "Oh, hey, do you remember me? I'm Kev's sister, blah, blah, blah." He said, "Yeah, of course I remember you." He said, "I've got a question though. Why do you call yourself Maree now?" I said, "Well, that's my name. My name isn't Iris." He said, "I would never have guessed." He said, "I swore your name was Iris." I was like, "No." So anyway, my nickname was Iris. Right, we're speeding right along, aren't we? Right. Next one is funniest childhood memory. Right, let me see. So I'm gonna tell you this one. It's a bit long, but it's probably the one that traumatized me at the moment, but looking back, it's funny. So anywho, quick rundown. From the age of 2 to 13, I lived in Old Town Swindon, which is up on the hill. all the homes are pretty much in straight lines. So behind our home was a back alleyway, and there was about 8 of us children that used to play in this back alleyway, and we'd roller skate up and down, we'd bike up and down. My next door neighbour had, you know, the metal cowboy guns, and they had the little caps. So we'd play cowboys and Indians, we'd play cops and robbers, we would play war. And war was one of our favourite ones because the 2 kids that lived behind us had like ammo camouflage gear. So we would split up into 2 teams, and I'd always be on the England side and whoever would be on the other country's side. And at the end of our back alleyway, there was a dead end and there was an allotment. Now we were allowed to play in the allotment because we would just run in and out between the little vegetable patches, and all the parents that had an allotment, they knew us anyway, so it wasn't a problem. We'd always play in there. Well, one day we went down there and there was a padlock on the allotment, and there was a sign saying something like vacant ground. Oh boy, we were devastated. Our playground was now gone. It was taken from us, and there wasn't any playing fields or parks that we were allowed to walk to. So, because we were only young, I think it was the year of 1976 because it was the drought. So I was only about 7. And eventually what happened was they built a house on this site, and it all happened very quickly. And anyway, this family moved in, and we got together as 8 kids and said, let's go knock on the door and tell them, oi, your house is on our playground. So we went to the door. I got pushed in front, so obviously I was the one that was left speaking to the guy. And he came to the door, and he was a vicar because there was a church next door. And I just looked up at him and I was like, hi, your house is on our playground. So he called for his wife. She came up. He explained the situation. She was like, don't you worry. I'll leave the back gate open. You can come in whenever you want. Don't you worry. There's a swing in the back. You just make yourselves at home. So we were sorted. We were happy as Larry. So we go around, because we had to walk down the street and back up the alleyway to get into their back garden. So I think it was a couple of weeks later, we decided we were going to have a game of war in the back garden. And what we would do is we would dig our hands in the mud and make these mud bombs. Well, the soil in Swindon is clay. So what we would do is we'd roll out these mud bombs like on the night before, put them on the church roof, which was a flat roof, and they'd bake in the sunset. The next morning, they'd be rock hard. I mean, you got hit by one of those, you knew it. Anyway, we were in the middle of the game of playing war, and someone lobbed a mud bomb. It hit the frame of the window because the vicar's wife had left the window open. It hit the frame of the window and it plopped into her cake mixture. And immediately from the kitchen was just a string of cuss words. I mean, I'd never heard it like that before. My mum and dad used to cuss every now and then, but it was just the odd word. It wasn't like a beep, 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 beep. Anyway, she comes running out of the kitchen with a wooden spoon in her hand, and literally we were all in the middle of like an action. And I'm sure if you had sent a drone overhead, we would have looked like those little toy green soldiers. Like one of us was like this, one of us was like this, one of us was crawling across the crowd, and we literally froze because she was still beep, 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 get out of my garden. Oh my gosh. To know that she was the vicar's wife and she was cussing up a storm like that, I mean, it was traumatizing. So anyway, we all left, and the next day we got together and we were like, how are we going to get back into the garden? Because we want our playground back. So we decided to draw her a card up and say sorry, and we took it round to her, and she was nice as pie when we gave it to her. She was like, don't you worry, you can come back in. She said, next time don't lob a thing at my window. So yeah, I won't forget that. It was very traumatizing at the time. We were so scared. We were absolutely like beside ourselves. But now looking back, yeah, sorry. Anyway, moving on. I think I've got 3 more questions. Here we go. Oh, this is a short one. Oh, worst hairdo. All right. So it has to be back in the 80s. Lots of hairspray, lots of cheap hairspray, drying my hair upside down, scrunching it as big as I possibly could. I'm gonna look through my photographs. I'm gonna put a picture up here. So that's an easy one. I think even my wedding day. So I got married in a big registry house. It was like a big stately home, but then the white wedding was really a blessing. I even did my hair big for that, so yeah. So it's definitely an 80s hairdo, which is my worst. Okay, what's this one? How many famous folk have you met? Too many to remember, to be honest. I work as an extra in movies, commercials, so I've met a lot. George Clooney, Julia Roberts, who else? In fact, I'll put some pictures up because I don't even remember half their names, to be honest. But the nicest, friendliest one, I think, was Angelina Jolie's father. I can't remember his name either. But he was so sweet, so down to earth. Him and, who's the actor that plays Jason Bourne? Don't remember his name either. I'll put his picture up here. But he was really nice too. And George Clooney, he was so friendly and funny. And Bernie Mac, that was it, the comedian. He had everyone rolling. Jackie Chan, really down to earth. I met Britney Spears on my lunch hour. I was driving next to her one time. And I met O.J. Simpson. He came to my job one time. I'm not very good at, when I'm out and about, recognizing people. My friends usually recognize famous people. And then I'm like, oh, who are they? Where are they from? Who are they? And then they explain. I'm like, oh yeah, now I do recognize them. But yeah, normally I don't recognize famous people. But yeah, so anyway, I'll put a few pictures up of who I've worked with. And then lastly, last question, funny tale from a holiday. Okay. So about 28 years ago, myself, my husband, who was then my boyfriend at the time, my best friend at the time, and her boyfriend, we all went to Tunisia for a week. We stayed in a little apartment off of the beach, but then we would walk to the hotel beaches and use their deck chairs and that. So this particular day, we're in the deck chairs, just enjoying the sun and the sea. And the locals would walk up and down selling like necklaces and bits and bobs. Well, this one guy came up and he said, you buy from me, a day trip. And we were like, a day trip to where? And he was like, oh, you ride on these horses, you go out to the Sahara Desert and there is a waterfall, a big, big waterfall. We were like, waterfall in the Sahara Desert? Okay, whatever. So anyway, he would not budge. He would not leave us alone. So we were like, just give him the money, just pay. We had to pay in cash there and then. And he was like, tomorrow, you meet me at this hotel at this time. We were like, okay. So anyway, he goes, we all look at each other like we've just lost our money, right? We're never going to see him again. But anyway, we went to this hotel and sure enough, there was a group of people, about another 5 people there. And we're like, are you waiting for the horse trip for the Sahara Desert? And they all were like, yeah, we're not sure about this. And we're like, yeah, we're not either. But anyway, this guy, he comes up, he has a little minivan, he pulls us into the minivan. He was such a character. So he drove us out to the edge of the city where the city dump was. And next to the city dump was some horse stables. So we pick our horses, we get on our horses. The first thing we realise, these horses don't speak English, which naturally, why would they? They're Arabic. So we finally learned that you had to hiss like a snake to slow them down, or you had to hiss and then kick to speed them up. So anyway, we rode for about 2 hours out into the Sahara Desert. Then he says, right, everyone off your horse, tie them up here. And there was a couple of palm trees, tied them up. And then we walked up this huge dune down the other side. And there was like a little, I would say it was a stream. Wasn't anything more than a stream. And then we walked along it a little bit. And then there was a brick wall. And there was a pipe coming out of the brick wall. And he said, look, the waterfall. We were like, yeah, okay. I think I have a picture. I might have a picture. If I do, I'll put it up here. But we just rolled. And he was cheesing this guy. He was absolutely cheesing from ear to ear. He was so proud of himself that, you know, he had pulled the wool over our eyes. But he was such a fun guy. And then we got back on our horses. And then he took us to someone's house in the middle of the desert. I mean, it was like a brick house in the middle of the desert. And we got off our horses, and it had like a lean-to. It wasn't really a garage. It was more just like a wooden roof between like two brick walls. So he goes, you go in there, you go in there. And he pulled out costumes. He dressed us up in like their traditional clothing, brought out a cooler of Cokes and sodas, took pictures of us, and then he played some music, you know, with these little ding, 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 ding. It was so much fun. I mean, this guy, he was the best tour guide ever. But yeah, that waterfall wasn't quite the Niagara Falls that we were thinking. But yeah, that was our funny holiday memory. So anyway, I've got no more questions. They're all gone. I hope you enjoyed this little fun chit chat. And next video is Halloween. So stay tuned. Wait for an announcement of the next Transatlantic Wives of YouTube. Thanks for watching. Leave a comment, please. If you don't want to see any more videos like this, let us know, because we don't want to bore you. And anyway, I hope you make this, and if you do, let me know if you like. Oh, let me know if you was able to separate the two colours too. But anyway, cheers.